Hello and welcome to Voices in the Dark new vlog. I will be trying to keep a vlog to keep you up to date with everything that's happening, but also just to share some of my thoughts every day, things that perhaps can help you out because I find that they help me. So today's topic is going to be signal to noise ratio and pain. I find that a lot of the times when I am struggling to get things done, I don't have motivation, or when things are hard and it just feels like they shouldn't be, you sort of end up thinking, why do I not have motivation to do things? Why am I struggling? Why do I not even care about certain things? And most people don't realize that sensation overwhelm or overload, which is something that autistic people such as myself encounter every day, where even sometimes physical touch or perhaps colors or light or sound is something that that particular autistic person really, really struggles with, will overwhelm because the input is too high. There's too much noise coming into the brain. It's listening at too high a volume to a particular input. And it becomes so overwhelming that other things get left behind. They don't get analyzed or looked at, or the conscious mind just kind of goes into a more neutral zone to cope with things, because the input that it's supposed to be processing is not high enough compared to the input it is receiving from other things. Now, this is happening with autistic people all the time with certain things in particular, and everybody's different, but noise, usually sound, well, I say noise, people's voices, I would class as noise for me, for example, whereas other people are too visually stimulated. Really strongly autistic kids, strongly autistic, I mean, far on the autistic spectrum, that don't like to be touched. It's because the sensation of touch is too powerful. It is too distracting. It's almost like pain. Think of anything that is too strong, like a smell that is too strong. If it was too overpowering, even if it was a pleasant smell, you would not like it. Now, what happens in a lot of adults, I suppose sometimes children, but what happens in adults is that we accumulate emotional and physical pain. Emotional pain from all the things that happen to us in life, and physical pain because we sit badly. We sit a lot of the time, which is something we shouldn't be doing. We're not moving correctly. We don't take care of ourselves. And the more this happens, actually, the more incorrect behaviors we have. Because as the noise floor is getting higher and drowning out the signal of your desire, your emotions, your power of will, what you do is, instead of trying to lower the noise floor, you boost the signal. And it's a sort of runaway effect. And boosting the signal sometimes means trying to boost your own happiness. So overeating, perhaps, or trying to do things that are really enjoyable, or even taking recreational drugs. Not that there's anything wrong with that in principle, but if you're trying to do it to escape from a rising noise floor, what will happen is that the positive feedback loop will mean that the signal gets weaker in comparison continuously, and it just keeps raising and meeting. You're not solving the problem. You're actually making the difficulty in figuring out your signal much higher. Now, a great example is my personal level of motivation or even creative thinking. I've had some injuries in the past, which I've described in the podcast and some of the previous videos I've done for Man Up, where the pain, you get used to it, so you no longer feel it. But what happens is that everything else gets grayer. Like the world, your hope, your ability to cope with things, it just seems like you're no longer able to deal with problems effectively. Now, yesterday I had a particularly effective massage section with my massage therapist, Fabian. A shout out to Fabian. He's fantastic. If you guys want the best sort of physiotherapy available, he's in London, and just ping me. Maybe I'll show him this video so he can answer your comments. But so he did some really, really deep tissue work, as well as some dry needling, intramuscular stimulation with acupuncture needles. And he was able to go very, very deep, because I also had a session last week where we released some of the more obvious problems. And he went really, really deep and released my spinal erectors, my diaphragm, my QL muscles, my piriformis in my butt, like some of the places where I have the highest level of tension. he was able to go so deep and release so much tension there that I felt like a different person afterwards. Now, what happened was that the level of relaxation and the level of lack of pain, that I wasn't even registering as pain anymore. It was just normal. By removing that signal, what happened is that just being normal felt pleasurable. Now, that is very, very significant. And ever since that session yesterday, my mind has been firing on all cylinders. I mean, I'm able to speak right now. I didn't prepare this at all, and I've made no mistakes, or roughly. Well, actually, I'll have to watch this back in the edit, but I don't think I've made any mistakes. And I've been able to do some creative things and get through my list of to-dos so smoothly, with such purpose, with such clarity of what needed to be done, that it's been astonishing. I forgot that it was possible to exist on this plane. So my advice is to try and identify your pain points that you might have forgotten you're feeling. What is the emotions you're repressing that would affect you deeply, that have affected you deeply, rather? Or what is the physical pain that you no longer register as physical pain? Have you been taking care of yourself? And the best way to try and compensate for this is to do things that reset down this level, as opposed to concentrating on things that boost your signal, either in pleasure or even, pleasure is one of the ways most people cope with a dropping in signal to noise ratio. So they boost the signal by doing things that they find good for themselves. But there's another way, and this is not as common, but it's common more and more in the self-help and just general kind of guru industry that is becoming more and more prevalent with the internet. Back even 20 years ago, anyone that did self-help was seen as a loser. Now it's almost becoming trendy to do any form of self-development. And it's good in a way, but it's also misguided, because a lot of people will point you in the direction of, you gotta, take care of this by becoming more proactive and getting out of bed and like do this, do that, and just stop being stop having a pity party for yourself, which is an interesting message. It's a good message in a way, if you are letting that sort of behavior stop you and prevent you from getting shit done. The problem arises from the fact that it is just another way to raise the signal instead of dropping the noise. You are just increasing the amount of energy you put into your willpower instead of pleasure to try and rise above the noise. But dropping the noise, for example, meditation, is a technique that is more and more accepted to drop the noise ratio. But even just taking proper care of yourself. Have you eaten properly? Have you gone for some mild fitness exercise type things? Not like over-the-top stuff. In fact, over-the-top goes back into the same category of trying to raise the signal too high. Have you done things which will help you distinguish more and more between your inner signal, which is yourself, your sense of self, your consciousness, your I don't have a good way to describe this, actually. I've been thinking about this more and more, but it's like the prime program, the core functioning decision-making loop upon which everything else is built in your consciousness. It's sort of like the metronome by which the music of your brain operates. And what you want to do is be able to hear that, because if there's too much of a ruckus, you just will not be able to build the composition, the orchestra that is your mind, into an effective symphony. What you will do is just have a cacophony of crap, quite honestly, that will not get you anywhere. Where was I going with this? Here comes the mistake. I think I've rambled on a little too long for this, but it's more of a test for this vlog, but I wanted to share with you guys this thought because I find it very, very important. And whenever I stray too far in the direction of what am I doing? Why am I here? What does it all mean? Which is, quite honestly, a meaningless question. That only arises when you've diluted your mind. And by resetting, by having this sort of self-care, you will be able to separate out what you really are, all these things that are just natural to you, from the noise that's drowning them out, so you no longer feel them. So I guess the takeaway message for today is take care of yourself, love yourself, And do it gently, do it with sort of compassion, the same way you would do it with a young child. Although I've seen some parents that don't have that for their children, I suppose. But do it the way good parents treat their children, and you will flourish. That's what we all need. So this was the first vlog, just random thoughts from Andrea for Voices in the Dark. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's just a little practice. It allows me to practice with my new cameras that I have here. The Blackmagic Pocket 4K. I'm really enjoying doing lots of filmmaking work with them, and I just want it to be a little bit more creative for myself as opposed to just doing stuff for clients, which is fun, but it is not something I deeply feel is my passion, I guess. Whereas trying to communicate ideas is where I really feel fulfilled, and I want to do more of that. So thank you for watching. If you haven't hit subscribe, please do so. I will try to post more and more thoughts.